This page is the cover of Nintendo Power Magazine, featuring the Nintendo 64 game 1080° Snowboarding. It also teases coverage of Mission Impossible and Quest 64. There is also a section for Quake 64 maps and monsters, and Rampage World Tour, plus double play coverage of Game Boy titles, Wario Land 2, and Castlevania. The cover highlights an 8-page Avalanche feature. The next page is an advertisement for Nintendo Power Magazine, with characters from Diddy Kong Racing, such as Diddy Kong, Banjo, and Conquer the Squirrel driving race cars. The slogan is, "Steer clear of roadhogs," and it lists a phone number to subscribe to Nintendo Power Magazine. The ad promotes a subscription offer of $19.95 a year and promises tips, tricks, maps, codes, cheats, collectible cards, and a free player's guide. This page is a contents overview from Nintendo Power, Volume 106, March 1998, with a focus on strategies for various games. The main highlight is 1080° Snowboarding, with a snowboarder in action. Other featured games include Rampage World Tour, NHL Breakaway 98, Quake, Yoshi's Story Continued, NBA In the Zone 98, Wario Land 2, Castlevania Legends, and Bust-A-Move 2. The page also mentions special features, like a quest preview, a first look at Mission Impossible, and the Nintendo Power Award nominations. The bottom of the page lists regular segments such as Player's Pulse, Power Charts, Classified Information, Counselor's Corner, Arena, Now Playing, Pack Watch, Next Issue, and Game List. The magazine will be highlighting the 1997 Nintendo Power Awards, noting the nominees like GoldenEye 007 for Best N64 Game. This page, titled Player's Pulse, showcases reader opinions and artwork related to various Nintendo 64 games. Patrick from Jacksonville, Florida praises GoldenEye 007 for its graphics and gameplay, but notes issues with character interactions and music. Michael also comments on GoldenEye 007. Patrick from Via the Internet highlights Diddy Kong Racing, DKR, and its unique racing experience. Anthony, via the Internet, responds about the Diddy Kong comments. Bob Race critiques Pipsy in Diddy Kong Racing, suggesting players should learn how to drive, mentioning Crunch and Bumper as superior characters. George in New York supports Pipsy. Jason from Winthrop Harbor, Illinois, voices frustration with limitations in GoldenEye 007, desiring the ability to play any level or character regardless of progress. The page also includes artwork inspired by games like Shadows, with Instinct Combat, Mischief Makers, and Bomberman 64. This page has power charts and lists the top 10 games for Nintendo 64, Super NES, and Game Boy. GoldenEye 007 takes the top spot on the Nintendo 64 chart, followed by Diddy Kong Racing and Star Fox 64. Aero Fighter's Assault makes a debut at number 8. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past leads the Super NES chart, with Super Mario RPG and Donkey Kong Country 3 following closely. On the Game Boy chart, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening is number 1, with Donkey Kong Land 3 and Super Mario Land 2-6 golden coins rounding out the top 3. A Most Wanted list shows upcoming games, featuring Zelda 64, Nintendo 64 Disk Drive, and Yoshi's Story. The page also includes letters from readers discussing topics, such as the replay value of games, and comparing Zelda 64 to Final Fantasy V2. And contains a phone directory for Nintendo Power subscriptions, system setup and repair. Also includes Talk to a Game Counselor and a power line for pre-recorded game tips and future product information. The next page focuses on Nintendo's 1080° Snowboarding for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game's graphics, sound, and realism. It also details the 6 modes of play: Time Attack, Trick Attack, Contest, 2-player vs, Training, and Match Race. The page then introduces the 5 playable riders: Rob Haywood, Akari Hayami, Dion Blaster, Kensuke Kamachi, and Ricky Winterborn, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, and it lists the 8 different snowboards available in the game with ratings. This page covers tricks in 1080° snowboarding for the Nintendo 64. It details grab tricks, explaining how to stall or hold the pose for big points, and lists several grab tricks, the points they're worth, and the button combinations to perform them. Some of these include the Indie Nosebone, Melancholy, Stiffy, Stalefish, Mute Grab, Tail Grab, Tweak, Method, nose grab, and shifty. The page then moves on to spin tricks, listing the button combinations for 180 air, 360 air, 540 air, 720 air, 900 air, and 1080 air. Combos are highlighted as a way to achieve high scores by combining grabs and spins, and it finishes by suggesting players experiment with jumps and landings. The page ends by asking whether half-pipe or free ride is the best way to play. This page highlights the different courses in 1080-degree snowboarding for the Nintendo 64. It describes the unique features of each course, including Crystal Lake, the easiest course for learning the basics, Airmake, a massive jump arena for scoring big stunt combos, and Halfpipe, ideal for perfecting tricks. The page features screenshots of the courses, as well as tips for mastering them, such as tucking to build speed on Airmake's ski jump, hitting the wood ramps on Crystal Lake for stunt points, and staying in control on Crystal Peak's mogul field. This page details more of the courses in 1080-degree snowboarding. It covers Golden Forest, a narrow course with gladed runs ideal for carving, Dragon Cave, featuring icy suspension bridges and blazing torches, Mountain Village, an endurance challenge, and Deadly Fall, a wide-open run with varied terrain. The page includes screenshots of each course and tips for navigating them, such as hitting the fallen log on Golden Forest for spins and grabs, catching air off the berms on Dragon Cave, conserving energy on Mountain Village, and exploring the chutes on Deadly Fall. It also mentions the game was still in development. A Check Out the Blast tour is shown with dates and locations for the tour. The next page focuses on Quest 64, previewing the game with the tagline, "A new chapter of epic proportions." It promises to take players beyond the screenshots and into the game, setting the scene with a storyline about kingdoms warring over the Elltale book. The main character, Jack, an apprentice magician, is on a quest to recover the book and find his lost father, Lord Bartholomew, traveling through various locations and collecting elemental orbs of power. The page features multiple screenshots from the game, showcasing different environments and gameplay elements. This page dives deeper into the world of Quest 64. The page starts with the battle system, with Jack facing off against various monsters, emphasizing the game's focus on elemental magic. It details the 4 types of magic: earth, water, wind, and fire, and explains how Jack gains experience and new powers. The page also gives a glimpse of some of the monsters encountered, such as wolf goats, spear-wielding frogs, and dancing mad dolls. The article describes the graphic menu that consists of 4 colored diamonds, explaining how Jack selects his spells. The next page is all about doing the town in Quest 64. It discusses how important it is to chat with the various characters in the towns, as they provide helpful information that guides Jack on his quest. The text boxes provide clues, hints, business opportunities, and the like. The page also explains the Finders Keepers feature, where a simple button press allows Jack to search his surroundings for hidden treasure and secrets. Additionally, the article touches on getting around Celtland, noting that Jack can walk, run, or ride horses, and even sail on a ship. The writer is excited about the game and hopes that an on-screen map will be available. The article showcases the alpha version of the game, mentioning that there are still more sites to be added. Finally, the writer states that the game is worth the wait, and with the success of other titles, THQ isn't rushing Imagineer to finish Quest 64. This page is dedicated to Rampage, World Tour for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game's premise: mutated humans turned into giant monsters destroying cities. The core gameplay loop involves demolishing buildings, eating people, and battling military forces across 7 continents. The page introduces the 3 main monsters: George the Ape, Lizzie the Lizard, and Ralph the Werewolf. A little humor is added to each monster's description, giving a backstory to their transformations. It also points out the updated graphics while retaining the classic arcade gameplay, and encourages players to destroy scum labs and cause as much havoc as possible. This page dives deeper into the gameplay mechanics of Rampage World Tour. The Demolition Derby section details how to effectively destroy buildings by punching and kicking, and how to find hidden bonuses. Occupational Hazards warns players of the various dangers present in the game, like fires and electrical hazards. Eat or Defeat humorously discusses the benefits of snacking on citizens, including eating street pizza created from falling people. It talks about special items to look out for, such as the Hot Loogie and Death Breath power-ups. Lastly, it introduces versus ERN, a powerful transformation obtained by eating toxic waste. The next page features Rampage, World Tour, and Twisted Metal. The Rampage section describes the variety of enemies players will encounter, from helicopters and tanks to mini and super mechs. It also details the numerous secrets and bonuses hidden throughout the game, such as jumbo jets, air cargo planes, balloonists, and airships. The monstrous multiplayer section highlights the game's cooperative and competitive modes for up to 3 players. It ends by commenting on the button-mashing fun and the game's humor. Twisted Metal mentions the vehicles and enemies that you will have to contend with while smashing buildings. The next page is a collection of cheat codes for various 64 games. For San Francisco Rush, Extreme Racing, there are codes for Rush Wrap-Up, Foggy Night, Unlimited Time, Reverse Controls, Auto Abort Disable, Reappear in Place, Car into Mine, Random Names, and Change View. Diddy Kong Racing has a tip to activate Drumstick as a playable character. Finally, Duke Nukem 64 features codes for accessing a cheats menu and activating all items, nearly invincible, and no monsters. There are also hidden arenas in Bomberman 64. This page presents cheat codes and tips for several Nintendo 64 games. Top Gear Rally has codes for special options like Rainbow Road and texture changes, along with a paint job modification. FIFA Soccer 64 features a cheesy victory method. Mortal Kombat Mythologies. Sub-Zero has codes for 1,000 lives, 10 vitality urns, and unlocking end credits. Madden Football 64 offers codes for classic teams and enabling the E-Stadium. Extreme Egg features a method to put the faces of programmers on the bike by entering XG Team, followed by names like Ash, Greg, John, Sean, or Justin. This page is an advertisement for NHL Breakaway 98 for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game's features, including detailed stats, realistic gameplay, and various game modes like Practice, Exhibition, and Shootout. It also mentions the ability to manage coaching staff and customize teams. The page features screenshots of the game and emphasizes the level of realism and depth the game offers to hockey fans. The next page focuses on NHL Breakaway 98 for the Nintendo 64, detailing season, playoff, and international playoff modes. It showcases team management features, like hiring coaches and trading players. It lists the Eastern and Western Conference teams, along with international teams such as Canada, USA, and Germany. There are screenshots of gameplay in the interface, highlighting features like winning plays, such as wraparound goals, and league leaders, with top save percentages. The page gives a brief comparison to other N64 hockey games, like Gretzky's 3D Hockey and Olympic Hockey, Nagano 98, noting Breakaway's depth in stats. This page is all about Quake for the Nintendo 64. It begins by setting the scene with a top-secret military project involving slipgates. The enemy, codenamed Quake, is invading a U.S. military base. The page then transitions into the game's equipment, detailing armor types, green, yellow, red, assorted spoils like mega health boxes and biosuits, and special powers such as quad damage and the Ring of Shadows. It describes weapons like the Thunderbolt and launchers, grenade and rocket, and even touches on the tactical use of radioactive waste containers. Shotguns and nailguns are also featured with their ammo counts. The page includes screenshots and talks about the game being more nightmarish than Doom, praising the improved graphics and sound. It mentions the multiplayer mode and suggests 64 Doom fans will appreciate Quake. The next page dives into level-specific tips and tricks for Quake on the Nintendo 64, breaking down areas of the Slipgate Complex and Castle of the Damned. For the Slipgate Complex, it guides you to a secret crate of shells, a mega health location, a nail gun, and a double-barreled shotgun. The Castle of the Damned section highlights secret locations, armor, and the Silver Key. Tactics are provided on navigating false walls with knights, hitting buttons, utilizing toxic tunnels, and dealing with an angry fiend in the underpressure area. The article advises collecting all items before entering the final slipgate. Screenshots from both levels are included to visually guide players. This page provides level-specific tips and tricks for 2 levels in Quake on the Nintendo 64, the Necropolis and Gloom Keep. For the Necropolis, it guides players on how to grab grenades, find bonuses, locate the Ring of Shadows, avoid traps, find secret slipgates, and secret side. The article also gives tactics to fight zombies. For Gloomkeep, it gives tactics on fighting fiends, finding secret spaces, navigating hallways, and making key decisions. Screenshots from both levels are included to visually guide players through the areas. This page continues with tips and tricks for Quake on the Nintendo 64, specifically for the levels The Door to Chthon and The House of Chthon. For The Door to Chthon, the guide gives hints on locating secret doors and keys, navigating traps, and defeating enemies. Screenshots show the locations of key items and switches. For the House of Chthon, the article advises players on defeating the boss Chthon by running on pressure plates and avoiding lava, and gives advice for what to do after shocks. The next page is all about Yoshi's story for the Nintendo 64. It details secrets and strategies for the first 4 levels, focusing on collecting the 30 melons hidden throughout each stage. The page highlights some gameplay mechanics, such as riding the green dragon and the worms, and explains how to pound clouds for coins and a special heart. It also gives tips for handling minigames, like avoiding bees while cloud pounding and hitting Don Bongo's lips. Finally, there are minigame snapshots of Cloud Vaughn, Candy, Inviso, Cloudjin, and Don Bongo. This page is focused on Yoshi's story, giving tips and tricks for finding all 30 melons in the Jungle Hut level. It showcases 6 different areas within the level, labeled A through F, and provides guidance on how to navigate each section and collect hidden melons. These include Blast the Blocks, Start a Coin Collection, Walk the Planks, Kabong Gabon, The Taller They Are, and Walk Quietly. The next section shifts to the Lots of Jellyfish underwater level, including how to release the first Ema's warp by eating the Shy Guy and breaking open the mystery bubble. There are tips for dodging the Manowars and navigating the Snorkel Snake, as well as discovering an oasis for Power Flowers and Power Bees. The next page features more tips for Yoshi's story. The minigames section highlights a long jump contest with melon rewards and crossing Teehee butterflies and bitterflies. The homing torpedo segment advises dodging submarine Shy Guys. For the Mecha Castle level, page 6 is noted as one of the toughest. The page includes floor blades and advice for blue and red blade avoidance. The A Big Crush on You section gives advice to use eggs on black Shy Guys. The In a Very Tight Spot mentions sea cacti and jellyfish in Lots of Jellyfish and collecting melons. The One Chance for 2 Melons segment mentions tongue-grabbing flying Shy Guys. This page offers more tips and tricks for Yoshi's story, focusing on the Mecha Castle stage. It highlights dangers like moving sprockets, pounding pistons, and horizontal blade tips. The guide also gives advice for a timed section and the Baby Bowser battle, including how to use bow bombs. It also details how to get higher scores by eating the melons and to find them using Yoshi's nose. The next page features game covers for both Forsaken and NBA in the Zone 98. A promotional message says that Konami is bringing 5-on-5 basketball action to the Nintendo 64 with NBA in the Zone 98 and recommends bringing your good shoes. This page covers NBA in the Zone 98 for the N64, highlighting its focus on realism and real-world player performance. The game includes 4 play modes: Exhibition, Playoffs, All-Star, and Season. The Season mode tracks player stats and calculates averages. The page details the Edit option for customizing players and the Trade option for swapping players. It also touches on the game's rules settings, which allow players to adjust the realism. Coaching is mentioned, emphasizing the importance of tactics and ball handling. The page showcases starting lineups for various teams like the Atlanta Hawks with Dikembe Mutombo, the Charlotte Hornets with Glenn Rice and Vlade Divac, and the Chicago Bulls, noting Scottie Pippen's rebounding abilities. It also provides lineups for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Detroit Pistons, and Indiana Pacers. The next page dives deeper into NBA in the Zone 98 for the Nintendo 64. Presenting starting lineups and team overviews. It covers teams across the league, including the Milwaukee Bucks with Glenn Robinson and Ray Allen, the Toronto Raptors, Orlando Magic with Penny Hardaway, and the Philadelphia 76ers featuring Allen Iverson. More teams are highlighted, such as the Miami Heat with Alonzo Mourning, the Boston Celtics, Washington Wizards, Golden State Warriors, New Jersey Nets, New York Knicks, Los Angeles Clippers, and the Los Angeles Lakers with Shaquille O'Neal. The reviews discuss each team's strengths, weaknesses, and potential strategies, giving tips for player substitutions and lineup adjustments to maximize performance. This page continues the coverage of NBA in the Zone 98, showcasing starting lineups and team strategies for the remaining NBA teams. It features the Phoenix Suns with Clifford Robinson, the Portland Trail Blazers led by Detlef Schrempf, the Minnesota Timberwolves featuring Kevin Garnett, and the Houston Rockets with Charles Barkley. Other teams include the Sacramento Kings, Seattle Supersonics, San Antonio Spurs with David Robinson, Utah Jazz led by Karl Malone, Dallas Mavericks, Denver Nuggets, and the Vancouver Grizzlies. The reviews provide insights into each team's key players and strategies for optimal performance, and also comments on depth and injuries and potential substitutions and tactics. The page ends with a timeout section, offering general winning strategies and tips on player awareness and playmaking. The next page offers an exclusive first play of Mission Impossible. It details the game's development focus on IMF team members and dynamic missions, highlighting Ethan Hunt, played like Tom Cruise, as a central figure, and notes how you'll be teamed with specialists. It introduces other team members like John Clutter, a mountaineer and explosives expert, and Jim Phelps, who directs operations. The page also covers the gadgets and gameplay, emphasizing that missions evolve, and the game captures the essence of the movie with gadgets, team members, and complex scenarios. It touches upon the game's viewpoint system, which varies between wide-angle and close-up views, depending on player speed. This page continues the exclusive first look at Mission Impossible, revealing gameplay mechanics, objectives, and enemies. The first mission involves blowing up a power plant at a submarine base, requiring players to conserve ammo and use stealth. The article highlights the use of a 9mm pistol, hand-to-hand combat, and the need to avoid traps and tougher superguards. It also mentions road hazards and the importance of actions like running, jumping, and using gadgets such as wire cutters. The game emphasizes that missions evolve and includes elements from the movie, like the IMF team, and complex scenarios. The next page is all about Wario Land 2 for the Game Boy, describing Wario's quest to reclaim his treasure from Captain Syrup. It highlights gameplay elements, including Wario's transformations like Crazy Wario and Zombie Wario, and introduces a treasure hunt game where players can win back Wario's loot. Also included is a walkthrough for the first chapter, One Noisy Morning, and the beginning of the second chapter, Turn Off the Giant Faucet, with tips on coin collecting and dealing with enemies. This page continues the Wario Land 2 walkthrough, focusing on levels from the second chapter, Turn Off the Giant Faucet, and the beginning of Chapter 3. It provides tips and strategies for navigating through levels like the Big Drip, Coin Heaven, Let the Water Out, Go Down to the Cellar, and levels within the ST Cup. It guides the player on how to defeat bosses and navigate tricky sections, such as using bubbles to ascend through currents, and taking advantage of Wario's transformations. The page also highlights hidden areas and coin collection opportunities. This page shows maps and tips for Maze Woods levels in Wario Land 2. It includes guidance on navigating with an owl, avoiding bad coins, defeating the giant spearman, and escaping the maze. It provides strategies for using the fire dragon, riding turtles, and smashing blocks to progress through the levels. The guide also alerts players to hidden holes and tricky sections with thorns and dive-bombing birds. This page features maps and tips for more levels in Wario Land 2, specifically 4 in Town, Storm the Castle, and Syrup Castle. It gives advice on defeating the giant bee, navigating the town, exploring the factory, and playing ball with Donkey Kong. It also describes new enemies in the castle and using Zombie Wario. The next page details strategies for Wario Land 2, including defeating 4 ducks, finding a hidden door by smashing walls, and reaching new heights by using Pogo Guy to bounce higher. It also covers the final battle against Captain Syrup, which involves throwing burning beetles. The page includes maps of various levels, such as Defeat 4 Ducks and Find the Hidden Door, and offers tips on toppling a duck on a wire. Additionally, it shows a treasure map and explains how puzzle pieces are collected in the game. This page is a counselor's corner, providing tips and strategies for various 64 games. For Chameleon Twist, it gives advice on how to defeat Lizard Kong by using your tongue to grab butterflies and shoot them, and how to defeat Queen Ant by using the post in the center of the room to trip her. For Aero Fighter's Assault, it recommends focusing on eliminating tanks around Bazille, and using special weapons on the tank's weak rear armor. It also gives a strategy for sinking Leviathan and Hydro Thunder, suggesting dive-bombing attacks, and taking out helicopters. Lastly, it addresses how to avoid running out of time in the fortress stage of a game, advising players to prioritize destroying force field generators and saving special weapons for the main fortress. The next page is another Counselor's Corner, offering tips and tricks for 64 and Game Boy games. It starts with Diddy Kong Racing explaining how to unlock future Funland and TT's door by getting all 4 gold trophies, beating Wizpig, and collecting 47 balloons and the T amulet pieces. It also details where to find the key in Sherbet Island, which is in the water on Crescent Island, near a small alcove. For Dragon Forest, the key is in Boulder Canyon, requiring players to ring the bell to raise the drawbridge, then use balloons to reach a platform. The Donkey Kong Land 3 section explains how to unlock Time Attack mode by finding all the DK coins and clocks. It also describes how to defeat Barbos in Cape Codswallop by bouncing Lurchins back at him. The page ends with Q and A sections for Automobili Lamborghini, Mischief Makers, and NFL Quarterback Club 98. This page is the 1997 Nintendo Power Awards nominations. Readers are invited to vote for their favorite games in categories like Best Graphics, Best Sound, Most Innovative, Best Story, and Best Challenge. Games listed include Diddy Kong Racing, FIFA Road to the World Cup 98, GoldenEye 007, Blast Corps, Harvest Moon, Star Fox 64, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, and more. The page includes screenshots and category descriptions to help readers make their choices. This page is also about the 1997 Nintendo Power Awards. It highlights nominations in different categories, continuing the awards theme. Categories featured are Best Play Control with games like Diddy Kong Racing, FIFA Road to the World Cup 98, GoldenEye 007, Madden 64, Mario Kart 64, NBA Hangtime, Star Fox 64, and WCW vs. NU World Tour. Best Racing Game lists Automobili Lamborghini, Diddy Kong Racing, Extreme Egg, F1 Pole Position, Mario Kart 64, Multi-Racing Championship, San Francisco Rush, and Top Gear Rally. Best Party Games since Twister names Bomberman 64, Clay Fighter 63 1/3, Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, WCW vs. NWO World Tour, and Wheel of Fortune. Best Sports Game includes FIFA Road to the World Cup 98, International Superstar Soccer 64, Madden 64, NBA Hangtime, NFL Quarterback Club 98, and the NHLPA and NHL present Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98. Finally, Coolest Ride features games like J-Bomb Robot, Blast Corps, Lamborghini Diablo, Landmaster Tank, Star Fox 64, Milk Truck, Top Gear Rally, Rocket Cycles, Extreme Egg, Russian Tank, GoldenEye 007, Viper Sports Car, San Francisco Rush, and X-29 A Fighter, Aero Fighters Assault. The Creative Chaos Award names GoldenEye 007, Aero Fighters Assault, Star Fox 64, San Francisco Rush, Blast Corps, and Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. Screenshots from various games accompany the lists. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. The next page features the Nintendo Power Awards for 1997, highlighting the best games across different Nintendo platforms. For the Super NES, the top games listed are Arkanoid, Do It Again, Brunswick World Tournament of Champions, Harvest Moon, Kirby's Dream Land 2 Eyes, and The Lost Vikings 2. The reviewer was surprised that the Super NES was still in the running. The Game Boy section praises the handheld's longevity and lists Donkey Kong Land 3, FIFA Road to the World Cup 98, Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball, Mole Mania, Tamagotchi, and Tetris Plus as top titles. The N64 section showcases Diddy Kong Racing, FIFA Road to World Cup 98, GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, San Francisco Rush, Star Fox 64, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, and WCW vs. NU World Tour. The reviewer comments that the technology available is finally catching up with our imaginations. The page also advertises a contest where voters can win an N64 system, controllers, and games. This page is dedicated to Castlevania Legends on the Game Boy. The preview highlights the game's plot, introducing Sonia Belmont, and details gameplay elements, power-ups like 1-ups and meat, and the importance of hearts. It also outlines the various stages: Graveyard, Lower Castle, Clock Tower, Top Floor, and Cathedral. Additionally, It mentions the two gameplay modes, Standard and Light, for different difficulty preferences, and shows screenshots. This page provides a walkthrough for Castlevania Legends on the Game Boy, detailing the outside the castle and inside the castle sections. It offers tips for navigating the graveyard, dealing with bats and traps, and defeating enemies like the Gargoyle Bat and the Death Dragon. The walkthrough uses maps and screenshots to guide players through the levels, highlighting key items, power-ups, and strategies for overcoming challenges. It includes specific instructions for using the burning power and defeating mini-bosses. The next page offers a walkthrough for the clock tower and the top floor levels in Castlevania Legends. It provides strategies for navigating the clock tower, defeating the Grim Reapers, and avoiding traps. It also gives advice on how to handle enemies in the top floor, including worms, fire-shooting flowers, and Alucard, Dracula's son, suggesting using the burn power and trapping him against the wall. The page includes maps and screenshots to guide players through the levels, highlighting key items and strategies. This page provides a walkthrough for Dracula's secret passage in Castlevania Legends. It features maps and instructions on how to trigger the secret passage, avoid traps like stalactites, and defeat enemies such as the Jumping Demon, with advice on using the whip effectively. The page also offers strategies for the final boss fight against Dracula, mentioning his two forms and the importance of a Power 2 whip. A small section previews the game's classic Castlevania style. This page is dedicated to Bust-A-Move 2 for the Game Boy. It describes the game's premise and several modes including puzzle game, versus computer, and time attack. The review emphasizes the fast-paced fun and various modes of play. The puzzle mode involves navigating a grid of letters, each representing rounds of bubble busting. The versus computer mode is about competing against computer-controlled characters. Time attack focuses on clearing screens quickly. The page also includes screenshots of the game in action. This page highlights the arena challenges, inviting readers to submit their best scores and times in various games. It features challenges for Bay City Blazing, where players submit their fastest lap times on San Francisco, Rush the Rock, Alcatraz Edition, in order to enter the winner's circle and win 4 power stamps. Conquering the Classics tests high scores for Super NES versions of Asteroids, Battlezone, Centipede, Missile Command, Super Breakout, and Tempest. And for big money, Wheel of Fortune puzzle winners submit a photo of their single-round winnings. The Endgame quiz challenges players to identify game endings from screenshots, while Try This compares reader times in Diddy Kong Racing to those of Nintendo's game testers. There is a challenge for those who can finish Donkey Kong Country 3 without using Dixie's helicopter spin and beating the Bridge of Immortality in MK Mythologies without special moves. The NP scoreboard lists high scores for Star Fox 64, Cruisin' USA, and Super Mario 64, and there is a Hide plus Seek section to find the Dole Drop from Yoshi's Story. The page also provides instructions on how to submit photos and challenges. The next page features reviews for 3 64 games. First, NHL Breakaway 98, which is a hockey game. It gets positive comments for its solid simulation experience, but is not as exciting as Gretzky. It gets an overall rating of 7.6. Next up is 1080-degree snowboarding, which reviewers praise its realistic mountain environment and play control. It receives an overall rating of 8.5. Finally, Quake 64 is reviewed. The graphics and faithfulness to the original PC game are noted, though the multiplayer is considered disappointing. The game gets an overall rating of 7.3. This page features reviews for 3 games on the Game Boy. First, Wario Land 2 is reviewed, praised for its graphics, level design, and unique gameplay elements. The overall rating is 7.5. Next is Bust-A-Move 2. The reviewer praises its puzzle elements and precision aiming, awarding it an overall rating of 7.0. Finally, Castlevania Legends gets a review, highlighting its recreation of the classic Castlevania experience and the new Light Mode feature. It is rated 6.4 overall. The page also includes a section called Behind the Numbers and Names, listing the evaluators, giving details on the ratings and age ratings. The next page is a preview of Acclaim's All-Star Baseball 98 for the N64. It showcases the game's potential, with realistic sports simulation and attention to lifelike details. It highlights the game's animation, with a wide range of baseball motions, from diving and sliding to throwing pitches, spitting, and scratching. The game boasts 50,000 frames of animation for 1,000 different motions, including individual batting stances, also mentioning modes such as 1 to 4 player, create a player option. The reviewer mentions that it is unsure how the game will compare to Nintendo's MLB featuring Ken Griffey Jr., and ends by saying that Ken Griffey Jr., may not have the only winning ticket in town. The article mentions other N64 games that contributed to Acclaim's return to profitability, like Turok, NFL QB Club, and Extreme Egg, also noting that 9 Nintendo 64 games sold over 1 million copies in 1997. Some of the games listed are Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, Super Mario 64, DKR, GoldenEye 007, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire, Wave Race 64, Cruisin' USA NFL Quarterback Club 98, and Madden 64. This page features previews of 3 upcoming games. The first is Wreckin' Balls, a vertical racing game from Acclaim, described as similar to Mario Kart 64 with springs. The preview mentions the game's animated characters, multi-level towers, and items players can use. Acclaim also plans to release a 128 megabit game pack with Rumble Pack compatibility in May. The second preview is for BioFreaks from Midway, a fighting game with a focus on gore. The preview asks the question of, is it too bloody, and highlights the game's violent content and arenas with hazards, as well as the character's ability to lose limbs while fighting. The game features 8 main fighters and 2 bosses, each with 2,530 moves and 2 types of shielding. Finally, the page includes first-look screenshots of Turok 2 for the N64, emphasizing the game's detailed graphics and unique architectural styles. It also includes a brief article about Zelda 64, which is known as Ocarina of Time. The article mentions that the ocarina is a magical instrument in the game, and the game pack itself will be gold. The statue characters in the middle of the world will come alive. The next page is a Pack Peeks section, diving into various upcoming games and accessories for the N64. Interax's V3 Racing Wheel is highlighted as a promising, officially licensed steering wheel and pedal set, working well with games like San Francisco Rush. There's also talk of new FIFA games on the horizon, and THQ sub-licensing e-titles like Road Rash. Konami is bringing International Superstar Soccer to Game Boy, along with another 64 version. Milo's Bowl-O-Rama from Crave promises a wild, cartoonish bowling experience. Rare and Nintendo are releasing Banjo-Kazooie earlier than expected, showcasing beautiful graphics and deep gameplay. The page also lists release forecasts for several games, including Deadly Arts, Harvest Moon, and Forsaken with expected release months and seasons. Hudson Soft are producing a Bomberman adventure. Kemco are working on an RPG and an action game, and Konami are working on a new NBA title, a hockey title, an RPG tentatively called Dear Blue, and a new fighting game. This page from Nintendo Power hypes up the next issue with a preview of NBA Courtside for the Nintendo 64, promising a deep dive into the game. It also teases coverage of 1080-degree snowboarding, revealing secret tricks. Another major game featured is Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. The Mystical Ninja starring Goemon is coming to Game Boy with adventure tips. The page lists back issues of the magazine, each focusing on different games and topics. For example, one issue covers WCW vs. NWO, another mentions Yoshi's Story, Diddy Kong Racing, and Mortal Kombat. Finally, the page shows an advert for Yoshi's Story and other official Nintendo players' guides for games like Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye 007, Star Fox 64, and Super Mario 64.